have a keynote coming up from Anirban Mukherjee, Managing Director at EY and driving the enterprise tech and digital transformation initiatives. As a global technology executive with 28 plus years of experience, he specializes in driving large-scale cloud AI digital transformation for Fortune 100 enterprises across financial services, healthcare, manufacturing, and retail.
Good afternoon, all of you once again. I thought that as a practitioner, it's best that we kind of bring forward to life, some real-life examples from the body of work that our teams are doing around digital, around innovation, around AI, and how AI and Gen AI are being, leveraged in the production shop floors today. So the entire journey, I'm sure that, the kind of learned gathering that we have today here, all of you would be aware about the transition that has, that mankind has witnessed, from Industry 4.0 to the entire Industry 5.0 journey. And the fundamental difference is that the entire connectivity network piece really stepped in, and therefore data became the new oil. And from there, I think the 5.0 aspirationally is more human-centric. So I think we are kind of looking into a world, right, in the next few maybe years, where maybe from robots to cobots would be something that we should kind of be really looking at. And I think directionally that's where we are headed towards. So if we are having a session in Telangana and we don't talk about pharma business, I think we are kind of doing ourselves a big disfavor. We have done multiple engagements with our clients in the pharma sector who have done tremendous work around their production process improvements, bringing in automation, continuous improvement plans being there, right? And they have reached a certain level of efficiency and excellence, right? Especially in terms of yield optimization, But the challenge is that after you have reached that stage, there's kind of a level of then, how do you really further, push the boundary condition and how? So this is kind of a case study which we have where we kind of did a implementation in one of our pharma companies. So the problem statement that we had, ladies and gentlemen, was this. This is into the formulations business, a capsule manufacturing setup. So therefore, the challenge was that, you would be aware about the entire cycle. When the business started looking into the data, they found that their average yields in barrier coating and enteric was kind of 98, 99%. But they had an understanding of a problem statement where the drug loading was around about 89%. Never could figure out as to, what aspect should they change, right? They had operators running machines. They had pretty much standardized machines. They had standardized vendors giving, fairly similar input parameters in terms of raw materials that are getting into that, the sugar spheres that essentially get, and then you have a blow dried there in terms of the medicines that get coated around that. So, as an organization, there was deep appreciation around the critical input parameters. The process parameters were clearly understood by them, around three aspects around temperature, the atmospheric pressure, the blower speed. Problem statement was that how do we redefine a golden batch, and how do we ensure that once the golden batch gets defined, our yield around the golden batch is around 95%, and we kind of hover around there with the minimum standard deviation around that number. With this kind of a problem statement, where does the AI ML role come in here? So, when the organization started doing various univariate and bivariate analysis, what they found primarily was that, look, they were hovering around the 89%, if you see the median there, and the max that they were getting in the golden batches was about 94%. So what is it that they need to do? It was kind of unknown to the organization that which parameter should they change so that consistently they're hovering around that 94% number. So when they kind of did a yield loss, started gathering much more production data, we have sensors, so therefore we are able to kind of get some level of insight around our production process. But after that, when the team started doing a bivariate analysis, they found that there are two equipments, and in the two equipments, pretty much the fluidized bed equipments that are there, same make, same manufacturer, same process, same input parameters, same control parameters been running. One is giving notably a large percentage of variance compared to the other in terms of number of batches which are above 90% in terms of yield. Root cause, not known, because none of the data points is able to give us that insight. right? The only piece that today normal data analytics will tell you that, yeah, what kind of fines and losses are you making from there. When you further deep dive into further bivariate analysis, the team found that there was no significant correlation between either the inlet temperature, the atomization pressure, or even the blower speed, right? So no conclusive evidence that's kind of coming out. From here, when the team started now looking at a digital copilot, right? Introduction of that in the process told them that look, that there is actually lower batches of huge variation in inlet temperature during the initial stages of both the machines. So the red lines that you see are essentially the batch variations that you're getting, and the black line is the golden batch, right? So the idea is how do you have standard deviations that are most closest to the black lines that you're seeing there. This insight, and separate, similar, running on Copilot for the atomization pressure and blower speed. I've not kind of drawn deeper in today's session on that. Essentially gave the insight that when we are setting the machine, there is a certain initial temperature gradient that is there, a blower speed gradient that is there. That essentially is where the dip in the yields are coming out from. Based on the AI ML output, and along with if you have a Gen AI at the top, fitted there, the operator would get an alert in terms of what kind of parameter setting that one needs to do to ensure that you get the best output. Just this exercise yielded two very, very significant results. One, you look at this, that the yield improved from about 88 to about 95% with a standard error of just about 1.6, so plus minus 1.6, which is significant improvement on yield from 16.6 hours to about 14.2 hours. So imagine the same plant, same input, same output, same manpower, right? You are able to actually significantly improve your throughput. Other technologies that are currently available was not able to help derive, again, getting into the, into the depths of the problem statement to an extent that today AI ML was able to solve. So this is one example that we thought would be very meaningful. The second one was very, I'm sure that most of you sitting here, even in this room, energy cost, whenever you're running a lab, a large hotel, large mall, everyone wants to kind of, optimize their energy cost that you're kind of, incurring, right? And the challenge is that today, if you look at it, any fuel, from a utility perspective, be that electricity, be that air, be that water, the challenge around, optimization of all this would primarily be where you are essentially looking at local optima methods. Say, for example, this is a plant, this is an R&D lab in the UK, which had a very similar problem statement. Then how do I really optimize the various inputs that I'm having to, given the number of people that are going to come, the number of experiments I run, what's my ambient temperature, which month of the year, which day of the week I'm actually operating. Keeping all those variables in mind, can I actually get into a model which will help me optimize my energy cost? So here is a model where, let's say today you have data from the energy management systems, you have data from your BMS system coming out, you have data that gets covered and optimized through the HVAC. But at the end of the day, if you kind of layer in a co-pilot on top of it, which essentially then starts simulating all the parameters in a manner that you are able to actually optimize your energy cost. And if you'll get startled in terms of, I'll just skip this from a time perspective, you'll get startled in terms of some of the numbers that really came up. And, this is from the World Economic Forum published report where people have actually used AI co-pilots to optimize the energy cost. Look at, it's a 34 to a 40% improvement on energy cost consumption. This is tremendous that today, and this is only possible when the organization has started looking at it not as trying to optimize a BMS data or not an HVAC data alone, but looking at a global optima overall. So keeping this in mind, I'll kind of request maybe the next panel to take up and maybe delve more from shop floor to top floor details. So thank you so much for this opportunity.
Truly very, very important for all of us to keep strong focus on the Industry 4.0. And I would request Anirudh, Co-Chair ICT Committee, and Mohan Raidu Garu, Chair ICT Committee, to onto the dais to felicitate Anirban Mukherjee. A big round of applause. Thank you. EY is a knowledge partner for the GrowthX. Thank you for providing the extended support in designing and helping FTCCI in designing this particular conference. Thank you.